What is up? Welcome into the Lambeau Speak. This is episode 16, coming at you live after the week 2 disappointment from the Green Bay Packers. I'm Nate Wallen. You can find me on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19. I am joined by my friend Bobby. You can find him on Twitter at Bobby A. Winner. What's up, dude?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm really not too disappointed. I was disappointed in the moment, but I was thinking a lot, and I don't know if you remember, a couple of months ago when we were doing our off-season picks for the Packers, which games they were going to win and which games they weren't. I originally thought that the Packers weren't going to win this game, so I'm actually 2-0 on the season right now, so I can't be too disappointed. Once they drafted Bijan and I saw that was week 2 for us, I was like, yeah, Bijan's really good at football, though. And today he showed that he is very, very good at football. So,
yeah, he's a stud. Algier looked really good too. I think my biggest thing is that just we knew they were going to run the ball, and
100%.
the defense looked like dog shit. And I'm just so tired of every single week, and it's not just this week, or not just this season, but I'm sorry. I don't know how Joe Barry still has a job. I've been saying it forever. It was atrocious. I don't understand how they can be so bad. And it's not like Desmond Ridder outplayed us. I mean, he had a good game, nothing special.
He did.
We dropped 2 interceptions, but I think really only one of those was would have done anything. One was a 4th down pass anyway, so we got the ball back anyways. But, there was a few other things. I thought that the offense started good, but I get so – I don't know. There's a couple things coaching staff-wise that I get really frustrated about, but I don't know. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm glad that you brought up the coaching staff because I don't know about you, but I was on Twitter during the game and after the game, and it seems like Packers Twitter is kind of torn right now between who's to blame for this loss. Was it the coaching? Was it Joe Barry or was it the players? Because you kind of touched on both of those things there, right? So Joe Barry, especially on that one play where the Falcons went 5 wide and Bijan was being covered by Campbell. Campbell was 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he just ran a quick little slant route, and Campbell was nowhere near him. And it's well, of course, they were working the short game pretty much all game. You know what I mean? That's kind of how you play against this 2-shell team. But
I don't know. The thing that part is frustrating. I mean, they come out when whatever you want to call it, they come out in nickel or whatever, and when it's the same thing that the 49ers can do to you, with it's almost like a positionless deal, so you have your middle linebacker out there and they're able to motion a guy out, and then it's well, we're in man. This is what we got. And then, I mean, you could try to switch, but what are you going to switch to? Have Devondre on Kyle Pitts? I mean, it's not really it's kind of a –
No, I agree.
A damn if you do, but maybe Campbell's not the right guy to have in there,
or just don't play him 20 yards off the line of scrimmage and let the guy run 3 steps and cut in. He's dynamic. He's an elite athlete. I mean, Bijan was the number 9 pick for a reason. He's a running back. So if you're going to take a running back that high, he's got to be incredible. And he is. I don't know if you watched him in college or whatever, but people were comparing him to Saquon Barkley coming out. So
I know that the 4th down where they swung it out outside, they're towards the end of the game. You just shake your head. I don't know. I've said for years, you can listen to every show. I probably said every damn week how much I hate Joe Barry and that I think he is atrocious. He has no business being a coach. I mean, he was the one that when the Lions went 0-16, he was the defensive coordinator. He's never been good ever,
right?
And I've said it to you probably a dozen times. When a guy shows you who he is, believe him. So I'm for sure. There's no excuse. LaFleur won't do anything. We know that.
I don't think so.
So he's a little baby when it comes to making hard decisions. Same thing with Mario Rodgers. I bitch about it every time. He doesn't make those coaching decisions. He's not a chief figured out guy. He just kind of hangs out and makes sure his eyebrows look pretty. So,
but speaking about the coaching, I was looking a lot of back and forth, and like you had said with the dropped interceptions, like the one that hit Jair. Jair was, oh my God, all he had to do was make one person miss, and that was a pick six.
Yeah.
You know,
he didn't play very well today.
No, well,
And
no, you're right.
Yeah,
He didn't.
I know he kind of got bodied up a few times, so that's kind of
right. And yeah, it doesn't help that what's that Falcons wide receiver?
Drake London, who got nothing last week. And
yeah, Drake London is 6'5",
being on my bench.
Like yeah. Right. Yeah, because he caught nothing last week. But yeah, but so Drake London had that massive catch, but like, dude, he's 6'5" and he jumped all the way in the air and high pointed the catch. Like, of course, Jair wasn't going to catch it. He's 5'10". You know what I mean? Like, that was just unfortunately like a play that Jair just wasn't going to make against him. But honestly, I think I attribute this loss more to the players than to the coaches, because that was a complete fourth quarter meltdown. I mean, it wasn't, and everybody's looking to blame the defense, but honestly, if the offense just sustained a drive, there's more to offense than just scoring points. And I feel like a lot of teams, especially the Packers on defense, they get a bad rap, right? Where if in the fourth quarter they don't go 3 and out 2 times in a row, I mean, it gives the Falcons less time to come back. You know, put your defense in an advantageous position where just eat some time off the clock. You know what I mean? Because the Falcons they had plenty of time in the fourth quarter to play their style of football and to continue to run the ball. But if the Packers had just put something of a drive together on one of those drives, it would have made the Falcons play a little bit more one-dimensional. And I guarantee that the defense would have played better because they knew how they were going to play. They could have just pinned their ears back and started going after Desmond Ridder. But unfortunately, the offense just fell apart in the fourth quarter. And then obviously the defense, you know, letting Bijan have over 170 yards from scrimmage and making Desmond Ridder look good after he looked shaky last week. You know, like you said, he wasn't anything great, but he looked good. Like, obviously they won, you know what I mean? He brought his team back in the fourth quarter from being down multiple scores. Yeah, it was disappointing. Now, obviously, could the coaching have, the coaching definitely played a part in it, but I think the players were to blame on this. And AJ Dillon, how does he not pick up 1 yard on 3rd and inches? That just blows my mind. I don't think he's going to be a Packer. I was saying in the offseason, I don't think he's going to be a Packer next year.
No. It was pretty poor. Hey, before we get too far and I forget, you can find all our articles, our mock drafts, player rankings, all our episodes, everything we do on toiletstyles.com. Check it out if you haven't. Tons of great stuff there. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We got 17 shows a week right now, so you're not going to want to miss any of them. If you're into college football, which most of you probably are, check out our sister network. I always say that wrong. CFB Nation, tons of content. Got guys like in press boxes and on the sidelines at college games this year. It's wild. And just make sure you go check them out. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, throw us a 5-star review. We would appreciate that. And last but not least, if you like to interact with our team, get in our Gilded chat. There's over 240 people in it now. Different stuff, whether it's NFL, fantasy football, college football, gambling, DFS. I mean, literally anything is going on constantly. So hit us up. You can DM me and I'll get you the link. It's free to join. But yeah, it's a good time. So we would love to have you. But yeah, back to what you were saying. I agree. The thing that I get frustrated about, and it doesn't seem like it's been like this ever since I can remember, you know, when we get a lead, whether it's 10 points or 14 points, it seems like we just kind of like put it in cruise control and won't ever against the Bears, we didn't, which was weird. Right. You know, and I don't know if that's Jordan's fault, if that's Matt's fault, or what it is. But I mean, even when we had Aaron, it was the same thing every single time. It didn't matter. You know, you'd be up by 14 and we just 3 and out. Maybe we'll get a first down next drive. You know, it was just like we would coast every single year. And it's the same thing. And, you know, those 3 and outs were very bad. It seemed like, you know, it's like we have a lot of tape to watch from Jordan, but like, those 2 series, I remember watching. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
like that. You know, that he threw the ball right to AJ Terrell, and that guy, he's a stud, by the way. He played awesome today.
Yeah.
But like that one, you like threw it literally right to him. I've never seen him do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just, you know, when we had a minute left after they kicked it to us, we didn't gain a yard.
Right.
You know, and you see people blaming oh, it's the receivers. It's this, that's like, well, you know what? It's everybody. There were bad throws. You know, he targeted somebody. Was it Jaden Reed 8 times? And he had 4 catches. You know, there was a lot of things leading to it all. I don't know. Like I said, the game plan just changed or what happened, but that fourth quarter was absolutely miserable. You know, I felt good. I was like, hey, man, we're going to be 2-0. Like, this is wild, you know. You know, it was just so frustrating to watch them lose the way they did.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned the missed throws, because for as great as Jordan did play in the first 3 quarters, I mean, by the end of the third quarter, we were saying how he has the highest passer rating. He has the most touchdowns in the league. And look how great he's playing. We're still comparing him to Rodgers. But that fourth quarter, man, I mean, he had a couple of bad throws throughout the game or whatever. But again, you know, like, we know what this season is. We're supposed to figure out if he's the guy. Like, he's still getting used to this. This is his first time as the anointed starter. So we have to remember that as we're watching these games. Like, we went into the season remembering, or we're supposed to remind ourselves, like, we're not winning the Super Bowl this year, right? This is a year where we get to see, hey, who's a guy and who isn't. And it all starts with Jordan Love. But I mean, even going back to those, like, there was one in the first quarter, those deep field passes where he underthrew the ball like crazy, and it ended up turning into defensive pass interference. And honestly, they kind of lucked into that. You know what I mean? If he didn't underthrow that ball, that probably wouldn't have been DPI, you know? And we picked up 44 yards on that. Like, that was insane.
It was pass interference, so it is.
It absolutely was. It absolutely was. But that was against Dobbs, I believe. So Dobbs when he turned around to go look for the ball, he was like, oh, shoot, like, this is way short. So he had to pump the brakes on and then literally start trying to come back to the ball. And, like, you don't typically see that on deep shots. You know what I mean? You're supposed to, like, hit him in stride, you know? So when he saw how short it was, he had to pump the brakes, and the defender was just like, what is happening? Yeah. Threw his arm up because he thought the ball was coming, and ended up holding on to him because he was coming back toward his arm. So I was like, wow, the Packers really lucked out on that terrible throw. You know what I mean? And there was a couple of other bad throws, but again,
he made some great throws too.
He made some great throws. I'm still super happy with how he's playing.
Had some rookies score their first touchdown. Jaden Reed scored 2.
Jaden Reed is up.
Tavian Wicks had that nice touchdown. You know, that's great.
Absolutely.
I will say, was it the first drive with I was about to swear. I won't do that. When we had the delay game to take us out of field goal range, that's first drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
I
thought you
right there.
The timeout.
So we score a field goal there, and then I believe the score, we win. So
it's so funny. I was watching the game with my brother, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, as long as we don't lose by less than 3 points, I'll be okay with it. And we lost by 1, and he was like, should have won by 2.
But, you know, that whole, like, series there at the end was a nightmare, and it happened last week too. You know, there's something, I don't know if Matt's saying there, like, and he forgets, like, oh shit, Aaron's not out there and he's not going to figure this out.
Right.
Like, you know, it's like, I don't know what's going on, but it's 2 games in a row now where, and I know it's the beginning of the game. Oh, who gives a shit? Well, no, every point matters. So you can't just say, hey, nobody gives a shit. Cause that, like, right there, you're sitting there watching and you're just like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And the other thing too, with the decision to punt, like, that would have been a 56-yard field goal. We've seen Durs hit from 57 and deeper in practice and in and it was inside too. And he hasn't missed yet. You know what I mean? Like, as rocky as his training camp was, he's a gamer. Like, he made all of his kicks today. He made all of his kicks from last week. I would have trusted him. I mean, maybe coach was still thinking about everything that was going on with training camp and all of his inconsistencies and everything. And
I thought he was going to leave him out there. I don't know why he didn't.
I would have, but I mean, if you think about it too, it ended up being a touchback of a punt anyways. They only moved the ball like 12 yards forward. 15 yards? So, yeah.
I don't know. It was that little, like, hiccup there. You're just like, well, that's going to hurt. Yeah. You know, I mean, I guess we didn't turn the ball over today. That's great.
That's true.
We were dog shit on third down, which is not good. And that's just a Packers thing, I think, these days. We're just not going to ever be good on third down.
Well, we were last week, but again, it was against the Bears. So
doesn't count. It does count, but, you know,
it does. They're a professional football team.
3 for 9 this week. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we were 3 out of 4 in the red zone or whatever, so that's fine. But
sure, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, 3 for 9 on third down is unacceptable.
So here's the thing, right? We're talking a lot of negatives, but there's a lot of positives to take out of the game. Like you had mentioned, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed had 2 touchdowns in this game. Jaden Reed is a guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a rookie playing better than like any of the guys. Remember, what was that draft class? What was it, 2017 with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and they took 3 wide receivers?
Oh, Equinemius St. Brown,
yeah,
MVS, and somebody else that sucks.
He's playing better than the 3 of them combined. He's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's a whole lot. I mean, MVS is the guy that like maybe catches 2 balls a week, but
that's what I'm saying though. Like they took 3 shots at it and couldn't get a competent wide receiver out of it, and they took Jaden Reed in the second, and he's balling. He's awesome, and he contributes on special teams. Like, and Dontavian Wicks, like, hey, he looks like he's NFL ready. Like, and he was what, a 5th round pick?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, there were some good things. Something not good is Elton Jenkins' MCL injury.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping it's minor, but we're going to find out tomorrow. They'll do an MRI and everything. I mean, the line played well regardless. I think we only had 1 sack. It was a big one, 11 yards. I think we lost, but the run game was okay. Sometimes it was weird. They have a few carries where A.J. Dillon looked like good. He'd run a guy over and get 8-10 yards, and then he sometimes would get stuffed for a yard.
Yeah. So that's the thing with the run game. So I was watching the game with my brother, and I was like, look, if Aaron Jones was in this game, we would have won. And the other thing I was thinking is A.J. Dillon, he shouldn't play before the 3rd quarter. And so here's my thought process on this, right? So you want to wear a defense out, get them a little tired, right? So think about it. Like if you're lifting weights or whatever, you're just doing exercise. When you're tired, you can't lift as much, right? Well, guess what? When you're tired, you can't tackle a guy who weighs that much later in the game. So that's why I feel like they got him. Like he was supposed to be the closer, right? Play Aaron Jones a crap ton in the first 2 or 3 quarters of the game and keep him fresh, keep Dillon fresh, and let him close a game out. That way, our best player gets more touches. He's playing more in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter because we've seen it year over year. Aaron Jones just disappears from the game because they're just not getting him the ball, which is insane. And we still didn't have Christian Watson. So we were without our best wide receiver, our best running back, our best tackle, and our best guard also left throughout the game. You know what I mean? To only lose by 1 point, I'm not that upset. You know what I mean? I didn't think they were going to win it anyways, So
I know. It's just tough when you're up by 12 and then it's like, hey, let's just not remember how to play football. So
it certainly is. And
Bijan
looked unstoppable.
He's good. He's very, very good.
Very good. As advertised.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it was coming. And,
100%. And honestly, man, I felt like they did a decent job containing the run in the first half of the game. It was just towards the end, man. They pissed their pants. Like they just couldn't stop them. Like
it was weird. It was like all of a sudden they flipped a switch and it's like, oh, now we can't stop them, and they're going to get at least 8 to 10 yards of a carry.
Yeah, that last drive. As soon as I saw that they were just like imposing their will, I was like, oh, this game's over. We're losing.
Yeah, it was pretty well. At that point, you're like, you knew when they were driving down the field, and you just were like, well, we gave it our best shot. I was hoping Young Ho Koo might miss. I mean, he missed that extra point.
Yeah, me too. Every time he kicked after that, I was like, oh, he might miss again.
I've never noticed that he doesn't take a step to the side when he kicks. He just is straight up behind them. Do you notice that?
Yeah, that is weird.
Everybody usually is like a couple steps back, a couple to the side. He didn't. He just backs up and he just kind of. It's weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, didn't matter. They won. I don't really got much else on the game. Like I said, there was a lot of good things. The bad things are just frustrating because, like I said, when you're up by 12, you're like, hey, we're doing good. Let's score again.
Yeah.
They don't, but
Well, that's what it is too.
Onward, right?
Yeah, you got to capitalize on mistakes, with the drop interceptions. And then when they had the interception in the first quarter, they didn't do anything with it. You know what I mean? Like, if you could score off turnovers, that's what's going to keep you ahead in the game. You got to take advantage of those opportunities. And there was just a lot of missed opportunities. But yeah, I mean, they'll clean it up. Hopefully Bakhtiari will be back next week. Hopefully Aaron Jones will feel healthy, and hopefully we get to see Christian Watson for the first time next week, man. I took him in my fantasy draft, and I'm like, he's just warming the bench right now. I'm excited to put him in.
There are people saying that Bakhtiari didn't play because it was on artificial turf.
I saw that too. I was like,
funny.
Dude, this is like, like in the final couple of weeks of your senior year, how you're just like coasting and you're like, man, I'm not doing anything. That's Bakhtiari right now. He's on his farewell tour right now.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a fan of the real grass myself, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
At this point. But if you want to help the sports show, our Patreon, we would love to have you. For those of you that are members, we do appreciate you helping us keep lights on. Patreon.com/towards we have 5 different tiers right now. They're doing giveaways all the time, whether it's gift cards, merchandise, signed pictures, mini helmets, things like that. You may get lucky enough to get you a nice Jordan Love autographed mini helmet. No big deal. Anyways, moving on to week 3, finally coming home. First big home game of the year for the new regime. We've got the Saints coming to town. They're only 1-0. They play tomorrow night against the Panthers. So they'll be on, I guess, short, kind of a short week for them. I don't know what to expect. It's hard telling what we'll get with them. But hopefully is Kamara back? He had a 3-game suspension, right?
Right. So I think he's going to miss.
More. So that's good.
Yeah. So that's nice.
They have Jamal Williams, who will look good, and he get a lot of carries.
Sure.
Their passing game will be good with, Olave, Michael Thomas, Juwan Johnson. I forgot the other kid, the receiver they have that's pretty good. But and their defense is always good.
For sure.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward to the game. It'd be fun to, get our first home game. Hopefully everybody's back. I feel our chances are good if we're all healthy. Not that the line played bad without Bakhtiari and Jenkins, but
no,
you'd rather have them there than not. So,
yeah, that's actually a pleasant surprise to see Walker step in at left tackle and look good. You know what I mean? It seemed like he made, probably of anybody in that draft class, the biggest step forward, the biggest year 2 leap, because nobody was talking about him last year. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is so funny because he was a full-time starter the entire time he was at Penn State and fell to the 7th round. I can't remember why. It might've been like an off the field thing or something like that, but
yeah, there was something either that or it wasn't an injury. I can't remember what it was.
Honestly, he's starting to look like the steal of that draft for the Packers picks, at least, like he could be future left tackle, Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm also really excited to see Jordan Love in his first home game. Yeah. You could tell he wasn't as calm and cool as he was in against Chicago.
No.
So, being in a friendly environment and stuff like that, it'll be cool to see how he bounces back from a loss. And I mean, it's just so weird. I don't know what's going on with the Aaron Jones injury. I don't know, because he said he was ready to come back in the game. Now, obviously, he could just be talking because he's like,
I think so.
Good. Yeah,
I think he was just saying that. The hamstrings it's so touchy.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm hopeful. Hopeful he'll be back. And that way, I don't know. Dylan was a big disappointment today. Again, like I said, it's like some days, like some drives or some touches he looked good and some not good. He made a couple catches out of the backfield that were good, but we need Aaron Jones. He's
100%
one of the better ones. So
yeah. So
and hopefully, like I said, I feel like Watson is going to play.
Yeah, that'd be great. Again, and it's so funny because I haven't Googled more about hamstrings in my entire life than I have over the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean? I'm like, so, hamstrings, it could be 1 to 2 weeks. They could be 5 to 6 weeks, depending on the severity, and when they put that injury report out there, it's not like they're putting like, oh yeah, it's a bad hamstring injury, or it just says hamstring injury. So we're just kind of like guessing, cause like with other injuries, you kind of have like a somewhat of a timetable, like ACL. A lot of guys are bouncing back in like 9 months, but yeah, hamstrings, sometimes they linger all season. It's awful.
Well,
So,
I was listening today, this morning, I don't remember what it was, but like talking about like Darren Waller's hamstring. Like last year, he had a hamstring that was like in the big meat part of the hamstring where he issued. But like this now, it's like just a little small spot up top where it's like he's going to play through it and going to be fine. So it's
sure,
you never know. I don't think they really tell you very often what it actually is. So
no, exactly. Yeah, it's a frustrating injury because as a fan, you're like, man, will they or won't they? You know what I mean? Especially when they're on your fantasy team, because you're just like, they go from out to questionable, and you're like, all right, and then all of a sudden Saturday comes and it's back to out, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I get a few shares of Watson too, and you're just been going without, and you're just like, come on, man, let's make week 3 the week we come back and score a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see what happens. I think we're either in first or second in the division right now.
Yeah, the Lions lost.
1-1.
The Bears lost.
Bears lost. The Vikings lost. So
yeah,
I think the Bears play the Chiefs this week. I don't remember. I forget who the Vikings play. I looked a little bit ago and I don't remember now. But we'll see what happens at this week. So, like I said, hopefully we can steal one from the Saints. But we'll find out next Sunday, and another noon kickoff for me, or 1 o'clock, whatever for you on the right coast. But yeah, unless you got anything else, like I said, check out all our shows on our YouTube channel. Give us a 5-star review on Apple. We would appreciate that. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ToiletTitles, and our website, toiletstitles.com. You got anything before we get out of here, Bobby?
No, I just think it's going to be a good test for Jordan Love, because this is going to be like an actual good defense for him to play.
Definitely the best one. Best one we played.
Yeah, they're like a brand new defense, so that was interesting to watch him play against them today. But like you said, they've always had a good defense, and their head coach has been their defensive coordinator for a very long time now. So he knows his dudes, he knows what they're good at and everything. So I feel like if Jordan Love plays well in this next game, then like he's a dude, So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Hell yeah! So we'll find out a week from today, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week.